I'm joined now by Chris Deasy to speak more about the films of the moment, as it were. So we've got the Housemaid, apologies there. So have you seen this film?
Well, it's funny you ask that because I've seen it. Do you want me to admit this? I've seen it 3 times.
Wow.
I've actually booked to see it again tonight. And I'll tell you why. It's very odd that you should bring that up because it's the sort of film, it's got so many twists, because we were just talking about the Traitors, so many twists in it that even when you know what the twist is, I have to go back to the beginning and watch it all again. And, you know, both the second and the third time, I still thought, surely it's not going to go the way you know it will, because you're invested so much in the characters and you think that people are acting in particular ways because they're nasty people or they've got some horrible trauma that they're dealing with, and then it turns out that the rug is taken out from under our feet. And that, I mean, it's like a throwback to all those 90s domestic thrillers, you know, like Single White Female or The Hand That Rocks the Cradle. I mean, in The Hand That Rocks the Cradle, you know who the bad person is, you know the backstory. It's like the audience are complicit in that. But here, it's like the characters we least suspect know what's going on, and we only find out way after they do towards the end. It's actually a brilliant twist.
And I'll be honest, I've not actually seen the film, but there's been a lot of talk of it on social media, and lots of my friends have been speaking about it, and it already seems to have got a bit of an Oscar buzz. So what do you say about that?
Now, that's a good question, because films like this don't normally do well. I mean, the acting, I think, is tremendous. Now, the Golden Globes are normally the best indicator of what's going to happen in the Oscars, and it hasn't received any awards there. But then again, there was a film like Weapons, which has done really well commercially. It's a horror film, and that, I think, there's a dark horse there in the Best Supporting Actress stake. So I wouldn't be surprised if, like with My Cousin Vinny, which I know is Andy, our channel director's, one of his favourite films, going back to the early 90s, that film defied all expectations when it won a Best Supporting Actress Oscar for Marissa Tomei, despite having not been even nominated in any of the other awards categories, in the other award ceremonies. So you never know. But this film is still doing the rounds 4 weeks after it first came out. So there's a lot of audience support for this.
Yeah, and you mentioned that these kind of genres of films don't always, I suppose, win big at the awards, and maybe you wouldn't say horror's maybe a mainstream genre, but with the positive reviews this movie's going, and people still talking about it a month later, do you think this could, I don't know, changing the tides to how perhaps horror or thrillers are received? Oh,
definitely. I mean, I remember when Ghost, way back in 1990, well, 91 was the ceremony, when that won a screenplay Oscar and Whoopi Goldberg won Best Supporting Actress. Because back then it was thought, oh, this film's a little bit too lowbrow, it's not serious enough. It's more of a comedy, like a supernatural comedy, those sort of, a very unusual sort of hybrid. And it just goes to show Pretty Woman, another example from around that era, the sort of film that's really popular with an audience, but not necessarily the sort of film that you think would do well in the award stakes. And Julia Roberts, though she didn't win, she did a decade later for Erin Brockovich, she was nominated. So I wouldn't be surprised if there will be a few films up for Oscars this year that people will think that was a brilliant film, but you wouldn't necessarily expect it, because the critics maybe were a bit more snooty about it, but the audiences said, this is our film, and you never know what might happen.
Absolutely. And speaking of Oscars, do you have any predictions?
I think it's almost a dead cert that Jessie Buckley will win Best Actress for Hamlet. Now, personally, I mean, I really liked Song Sung Blue, the Neil Diamond film. Kate Hudson, maybe she'll get a nomination, but I think it's Jessie Buckley's year. I remember when she was on that talent show, when she was going for the part of Nancy back in, 2008? And she came second, and now she's up for the biggest award there could be. But last year I was sitting in the same seat. We were talking about Demi Moore as not just the front runner, but the dead cert to win for The Substance. And she lost to Mikey Madison, who nobody was really talking about until just those days almost before the Oscar ceremony. So you never know how it might go.
Absolutely. We mentioned there that some of the, I suppose, the big hits don't really score big at the Academy Awards. And I remember a couple of years ago, there was so much hype around, will Leonardo DiCaprio ever get his Oscar? So do you really think an Academy Award is a marker of a great film anymore?
I would say, no, for me, I'm a huge Martin Scorsese fan, and he was the biggest director never to win a statuette, but he arguably won it for a film that, though good, The Departed. It was a remake of a film that was made in a different language. It kind of almost felt like, is this really the best thing? He should have won for Goodfellas, should have won for Raging Bull, should have won for Taxi Driver. So once he got the award, suddenly it was like, oh, now he's won an Oscar, but maybe for the wrong film. So maybe if he'd never won an Oscar, his stature would be higher. Does that make sense? So it's almost as though sometimes winning the Oscar is great, but those people who, like Marilyn Monroe, never nominated, or Glenn Close, I think she's the only living actress. I think she's had like 8 or 9 nominations, never won. Peter O'Toole obviously passed away now, but he also had received something. He won an honorary award, but he'd had like 8 or 9 nominations, maybe more than that, and never won. So in a way, that's almost the stature.
Are you looking to save money on your weekly shop? Bargain Warehouse is Kent's biggest short-dated store, meaning we stock world-famous brands at prices so low, supermarkets find it hard to compete. You'll find drinks, groceries, sweets and snacks, cooking essentials, a huge cleaning range, and much, much more. We're open 7 days a week, so come and visit us in-store or visit our website. Bargain Warehouse. Big brands at low prices.
Some of those stars of plays. Whereas Meryl Streep's, I think she'd been nominated well over 20 times, but has actually won 3 awards.
Absolutely. So I suppose in that sense, it's still a mystery, I suppose, who we might be celebrating not too long.
And it's more exciting that way because we go in, when it's or in some years, I remember it was 21 years ago, a 3-horse race. Certainly for Best Actor. Will it be Sean Penn? Will it be Bill Murray? Will it be Johnny Depp for Pirates of the Caribbean? I remember sort of sitting there and almost when you know, and it's the person you expect it to be, it can be a bit disheartening because it's like, oh no, it's who we expected. We like those dark horses.
And speaking of dark horses, we mentioned this at the beginning of the show. Have you been following The Traitors?
Well, I've been following all the vibes around it because, as you know, I'm more of a film than a TV person. But how can you escape it? But also, it's like those films have got the same premises, all those like the Knives Out films. They're all the same, but put all these people in a room and work out which one of them is the traitor. And
Chris, do you think you'd be a traitor or a faithful?
Well, of course, in a way, it's not for me to decide. But do you know what? I think people would not expect me to be the traitor. So that's talk about dark horses.
We've decided for you. So it will come on in a minute. We inputted into AI what you would look like.
Oh.
I think that's quite uncanny.
Well, I'm starting to think I should go to my first audition. I look the part. That should be my social media profile. I like that.
It's great, isn't it? Well, that's all we have time for on Kent's Night Live on KMTV. We'll catch you next time. Good night.